Welcome to the Canoga Park Youth Arts Center's new series, Seeing and Drawing, where I'll show you how you can draw anything you want by using basic shapes like squares, rectangles, triangles, and circles. Today, we're going to learn how to draw an old ghost town. Now in California, we have two types of ghost towns. We have the real ghost town that used to be a mining community, and then after whatever they were mining dried up, they all left the town. But we also have old leftover Western sets from where they used to make movies. So we have a whole lot of Western set inspiration around here. Let's take a look at my drawing. Now, on this, you can tell we're looking straight on to our buildings. I'm going to show you another way of doing it as well later on in today's lesson. These are just squares. The buildings are squares and rectangles. Then you can put these different shaped tops on them. Each building kind of has a different top, but they're all next to each other, and I'm going to show you how to make, these are the old-fashioned sidewalks. They used to make them out of boards, not like we have concrete today, and I'll show you how we can make that look like it's in its proper perspective. We got some cactus, tumbleweeds, some rocks, some mountains, everything we need for a ghost town. Let's take a look at some real ghost towns. Here is an actual leftover ghost town, and you can see what I was talking about with the different tops. This one is flat, but that one's kind of curved, and that one's got a triangle. That one's got a couple of steps to it. So the buildings are right next to each other. When we look at this one here, you can see, look how ornate that is. Really fancy, fancy up along the top. And here is a great example of our wood sidewalk. And do you see how the boards, look at the boards on this side are leaning in this way. The boards in front of us are kind of going straight, and the boards to this side are leaning in this way. That way our sidewalk looks like a sidewalk and not a fence. It's in proper perspective. I'll show you how to do that. Now this picture is from an actual movie set in Southern California. And you can see it's got a contemporary car here. That's how we know that this is a set. And we've got the different buildings. Sometimes they're whole buildings, sometimes they're just the front, or what we call the facade of the building. And as we come down here, we can see another set. And look, see the horses there? They used to have these little things here that you tied your horse up to, so that when you went into the store, it was like a parking spot for a horse. So in the drawing that I have, we have one of those things as well. And our last picture here, look at how beautiful this is. Looks like it's been made to look as well as it did when it was first made. Look how the buildings, again, are right next to each other. There's no space. We've got our windows on the second story. Look at how high that goes up. So we've got our little porches and our sidewalks, and then there would typically be another set across the way. So it formed like a street going down. Let's take a look at this just for one more minute, shall we? Because I want to show you the difference between these two drawings. This is the drawing I showed you the first time, and we're just looking right at the front of it. But there's another way of doing this. It's a little more complicated. This shows us both sides of the street, doesn't it? And you see how I drew a dot here? This is called one-point perspective. That means that all of these lines originally will end up here at this single point. So when I'm drawing these lines here, I need to make sure that they all end right there. So it's a little more complicated, but it's a different view. And I'm going to show you a step-by-step how to do that. So in our step-by-step about how to do a one-point perspective of a Western set, we start with a very simple, our horizon line. And we're going to have our horizon line be kind of low on the ground. Not all the way on the ground, but not in the middle, a little low. And I put my dot here. That means all my lines are going to go there. Now on this one, I've drawn two triangles that come out from that dot. These are going to be where my buildings are. You can kind of see them laying out where the buildings are going to be. On this one, I've divided up the buildings. Each one of this is a store, that's a store, that's a store. And I kind of erased the middle of it because that's where the street goes through. And I did the same thing on the other side. So each one of these lines coming down shows me where a different building is going to be. And on our last drawing here, you can see I've added my sidewalks, and look at those lines are horizontal, the lines of the boards. They don't go up like this, they go straight across. And look at how I can tell with my doors. That line goes all the way to this point. Look at these doors, the tops. It's a line that goes all the way down to there. All roads lead to this dot. And then I just put in my different tops, and then I'd put in my windows. So if you feel ambitious and you want to do a one-point drawing of it, that's how you would do it. All right, let's take a look at how we're going to make our drawing today. As with any landscape, the first line is the horizon line. We're going to make a mountainous horizon line. Remember, mountains are unique, like you. No two are alike. Some are big, some are small. And I'm going to draw another little line down here because this tells me that this is flat land, and when I get to here, that's when I'm going to have to start going uphill. Now to do my buildings, I'm going to start off by just making the bottom. I'm going to come up like this, and I'm just going to divide it up into spaces. I'm going to have some be skinny, some be fat. All right, so there are my 4 buildings, 1, 2, 3, 4. But I need tops on my buildings. So this one, I'm going to put in one of those fancy little crown tops that we saw, like that. On this one, I'm going to raise it up a little bit, and I'll put one of those little half circle guys on this one here, and then it comes out like that. This one, we can make into a step. See, kind of like this. And on this one, you can just have this one be plain if you want to. So here's our 4 buildings. But they need a sidewalk. So here's the trick I was going to tell you about. On this side, the line goes out like that. On this side, the line goes out like that. Now I'm going to draw a line all the way across. Now this is going to be our sidewalk. The lines in the middle go straight up and down. But as I move to this side, look at, they're all leaning. Leaning, 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 leaning. And I'm going to do the same this one, but these guys are going to lean this way. Now if I didn't do this, this sidewalk would look like a fence, not a flat sidewalk. And now I'm going to put this line in because that shows me that the sidewalk is off the ground. Now I'm going to put in my doors. Each one has a door. And if you want to do those funny little swinging doors they have in the saloons, you make a trapezoid. A trapezoid is like a square. We've talked about it before, only it's bigger on one side and smaller on the other. And I just put in my little boards here. Now I've got my swinging door, another door. Now remember, you got to have your doors be the same height, right? You can't have some doors be like for cats and dogs and other doors be for people. Now, if I want to dress it up a little bit, I'm going to put a little ornate line here between my first story and my second story. And maybe I want a balcony on this one. So I can have, I'll make 2 lines like that, and then this is the rail on my balcony. And then I'll put another line here. That's what you hold on to so you don't fall off. I'm going to put in all my signage. Each building had a big sign that said what it was. So I'm going to put my signs in, and you guys can decide what you want your stores to sell. So there's all my signs. Put in my windows. And they didn't have real fancy windows back then. They were just like regular windows. Most of these buildings are 2-story. Back in the day, you would live on top of your store. You'd have like an apartment on top of your store. Here's our saloon. Let's make this a bank. Bank. Let's hope it doesn't get robbed. Let's put this the saloon, where all the cowboys went after a hard day's work. This one can be, let's see, we'll just write goods on this. That's another way of saying it's like a regular Target. Let's put some more windows in this guy. Your windows should probably be the same size or close to the same size. But remember, you've got your own imaginations here, right? This is just what I would do. You might want to do it different. I'm going to put couple windows down here. Maybe we should make this a door so people can come out onto the balcony. Another window, little X's in my windows. And here's a couple more here. Da, 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 da. And this one can be, let's see, what do we need? We need a hotel. There we go. So here's our hotel. All right, so here's our town. Now we need a road that gets to our town, right? So we're going to have it come around this way, like that. But remember, in perspective, my road is super skinny there. And look what's happening to it as it comes closer and closer. It's getting fatter and fatter and fatter, right? And now here it comes. It's going right down Main Street and right off. But we want to make a little bit of dimension here, so I'm going to put some big rocks over here to make it look like we're peeking at our city, our little town from behind a rock. There we go. Rocks are just kind of random. All right, now we need a cactus, right? Because most of them are in the southwest. Whoops. There's our little, looks like a person holding his hands up, doesn't it? Then we can put some little plants around the base. We're going to put some grass growing in the front here because it's abandoned, so the grass starts to grow back after a while. Here's our hitching post. We're going to put a little pole there, a little pole here, and then we put a pole across them, and that is where you tie your horse, if you're lucky enough to have a horse. Let's see, a couple more rocks around here, just to make it look more like a desert landscape. Oh, our tumbleweed. They're easy. Look how easy a tumbleweed is to draw. Now, if you wanted to, you could get fancy by putting a little bit of shadow on your mountains, because our sun is over here, right? So everything on this side does not have sun shining on it. So all of those sides of our mountains, they're a little darker than the other side is. There we go. I think I got it all. Looks like I did. Here's our western set. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for joining us for our trip to an old ghost town, but if you do want to add some color to it, yeah, I did one that has some color to it. Now, I wanted to show some detail, the boards and the different windows, and I knew that an oil pastel was too big to do that, so I grabbed my marker, and the first thing I did was I outlined all of my buildings with marker. And do you see how I made the boards go? This one, the boards go up. So I was able to do a lot of detail with my marker. Now, you can see there's one main color going on here, right? It's mostly brown and yellows and yellow ochre, which is like a brownish yellow. So you can tell they always look a little bit better with color, but it's not always necessary. I hope you have a set of color. Thanks for joining us and learning how to do an old ghost town. I hope you had fun. Remember, that's the most important part. And use your imagination. They can be any way you want them to be. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again soon.